Warning! The following program contains actual newsreel footage that most viewers will find tasteless, insulting, vulgar, racist, sexist, stupid, and disgusting. So, if you take offense easily, have a weak stomach, consider yourself cultured, or God forbid, politically correct, hit rewind right now. This program is definitely not for you.
What's up? Welcome to Quality Violence Cinema. I'm Christian.
And I'm Bones.
And we are here with Stephen Bloodworth. You might know him from his self-titled show. And we're getting into Mondo films. So we're going to go kind of into the brief little history of it first, and then we're going to kind of go into our picks of what we think is our personal favorites, or just ones that we just want to talk about. Maybe not just favorites, but just good picks. Because I don't really like favorites, to be honest. There's so many. It's hard to pick. But anyways, welcome. Thank you for coming on the show, Stephen. Appreciate you.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, usually you worked for Brain Damage, but what exactly did you do for Brain Damage?
So in the beginning, it was pretty much just boxing up orders for people that bought like Traces of Death or any film that we released at the time, going through the archive to see what master we had. And I tell you what, that fucking vault we had was literally like a kid in a candy store, because you'd be like, hey, go pick up fucking Don't Let the River Beast Get You on fucking the hard drive. You go in there and you'd find fucking like Traces of Death 2 on Super VHS. Or you'd find so many fucking sealed VHS tapes from like Dead Alive, Burning Moon, so many things that are like hundreds of dollars now on eBay. And I'd put those at my desk. I was so fucking pissed off when I left, and I did not keep any of those tapes. Like I saw like Prehistoric Bimbos and Armageddon City sealed, Burning Moon sealed.
Dude, I'd be that piece of shit that got fired for stealing shit.
Working there as a horror collector, it was literally like getting a golden ticket. And then it pretty much got to like editing trailers, working with the filmmakers, sometimes having the final say in what we want, what we don't want. God damn, I miss those Friday screenings. Those were fun.
Oh, that sounds full.
What's
kind of
some
people,
of
'cause they're all like-minded fuckers, so just like all just chilling, you know.
what's some of the filmmakers you worked with?
Well, I'm still trying to track down the crazy murder directors to see if they'll ever re-release it, but I doubt that's ever going to happen.
Dude, those movies are crazy.
I mean, I still talk with Kevin, the actor, every now and then, and he wants it to come out, but it's all up to Doug and Caleb. We were at one point trying to get the US rights to Charlie's Farm, which is that Australian film with Bill Moseley.
I've seen it, yeah.
Something happened where we had it slated for release, but because of something where it was all done in Australia, there was some loophole that we could not get through. And I remember I talked to Bill Moseley months later about it, and he heard of the fucking discrepancy with it coming to the States. And he was bummed because he loved that movie.
It's really hard with Australia because Australia is one of those countries that fund their own films, so the government has a lot of say in their movies. So it's usually a clusterfuck.
Yeah, that was a bummer that we couldn't get that. My Bloody Banjo, that was another funny fucking one. It was literally like Shaun of the Dead meets Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, I know. I just picked that up.
Things.
The fuck?
And
Seriously?
I think they made a sequel, actually. I'm pretty sure they did a sequel, and I think Lloyd Kaufman and the guy from Human Centipede 2 and 3 are in it. And
Oh,
yeah, that's a
Lawrence something.
yes, yeah, he's in it. So there was just a lot of fucking fun movies that we released.
Fuck yeah.
I remember some of the shit that we would get sent to us, and those were fucking hilarious. Like back in the day when everyone would send DVDs or VHS through the mail, we used to just have a closet devoted to the ones that we did not want to release. So my first day, I'm getting a tour around the office. They're like, "Hey, here's a DVD, have fun." And then they go in through the closet, be like, "Oh, and here's all the ones that we didn't want. Help yourself."
No shit.
And some of them were picked up by other companies. Sloppy the Psychotic was one of them that got sent to us. Uh, there was one really fucking shitty SOV that got sent, and I fucking love it. It was called Night of the Cannibals.
Night of the Cannibals.
Horrible fucking quality, but hilarious film.
I love SOV films. I need to go through the ones I just
Dude,
flex. I put some money recently.
fucking Steven, have you seen There's Nothing Out There that Vinegar Syndrome put out not too long ago?
No, I still have that sitting in my cart.
Dude, it's so good. Christian just posted about it on the Discord, and it's literally it's the meta equivalent to fucking whatever. Like it's so much better than Scream and Cabin in the Woods. Like it's a bad movie, but
Yeah, I
it's
know. I
the
want to.
writing is so clever. It is
I
the
really want to see it. I
best
immediately
meta
want-
movie ever.
No way.
Yeah,
I
it's so
remember
good.
I remember there was a time where we got sent this film and it was kind of like in the same tradition of Snuff 102, but it all took
Mm.
place in the Middle East. And it was I still try to look for this film. I can't fucking find it. The working title was The Sons of Jihad. And it was fucking a gnarly film and everyone was just like, what are we gonna do with this? Like, and they're like, let's let Steve have the final say. Like, he knows better than any of us. Like, what should we do with this? And I'm like, it could get picked up, it could create a buzz, but I say no way. Because
What?
at the time it got sent to us, ISIS was still a huge problem.
That's why you put it
So
out, baby.
no, my problem was I don't want our office getting letters of death threats or fucking anthrax sent to us. So I was just like, you know what? For the sake of our own safety, let's just pass on this. And I think I
You want to do
emailed the
Faces of ISIS?
oh
Dude,
God. It
that
was a
could
fucking
Faces
it
of
was a
ISIS,
good
bro. Oh my
it was
god.
a good movie though. It was a really good movie, but because of the whole
oh,
G thing, I'm just like, I don't recommend touching this. But
you
I
missed
emailed the
out.
guy.
You missed out on a huge marketing
I
ploy,
don't even
bro.
know where this film is now, but I emailed the guy. I'm like, thanks. Unfortunately, we're gonna pass at this time. And I think I recommended like Massacre Video or Unearthed Films. I said, I say go to them. They'd probably eat this shit up.
Obviously, they didn't. Shit.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere now.
Maybe it's never even been released.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I have to ask my buddy because he still has all the masters for so many of those screeners. I got to see if he still has that.
Do it. I want to see that so
I
bad.
got to find that.
It sounds such in bad taste. So Mondo films really started actually with government funded films, propaganda films. Started a lot with like Mondo Kane, Africa Dido. Specifically like Africa Dido was funded by the British government because they left Africa, their control of Africa, and they were showing everybody how savage those terrible fucking people in Africa are now that they don't have control over them. But Mondo really started as a propaganda half documentary, half fake, and like completely over exaggerated, more racist, xenophobic type deal. Then we move on to a bunch of different, like more real death stuff later on. But Faces of Death is really what blew it off the map, even though none of it was real.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody should be called savages. I mean, I don't know. It just seems more of like a beast, like an animal like type thing, and it should be kept at that.
I find it as a term of endearment.
If you look at it this way, the purpose of the Mondo films were directed towards the Western Hemisphere and was kind of a way for people, especially in the United States, to be like, holy fuck, these people ain't right.
Yeah, like we have it good here, but they're patriotic in a fucking stupid way where it's basically it's not showing that they're good, it's showing that every other place is bad. Like all the taboo shit like that we consider taboo, that's just different cultures. Like I'm going into a master. I don't consider racist or xenophobic, but like Kiyotaka with like junk films in the fucking Thailand like vegan festival where they mutilate themselves.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people in the Western culture think of that as disgusting and atrocious,
I
or
wouldn't
like
necessarily atrocious.
gen
It's wild to me. The ones that are wild to me are the ones that when they're throwing knives on their back and like literally cutting open their back. I mean, that is where I'm just like, I mean, I don't know. That's not. I'm not saying the judge of the culture, but that just like personally is like that's crazy.
to be honest, I think that's better than the fucking mutilate your entire mouth
I
part
could
of it.
see the thing that just seems like piercing. It just seems like anything into the counterculture world is here in America. That doesn't seem too much out of like too out of the norm in some aspects. But
Well, but at the time though, when junk films came out, that was not a huge part of the counterculture.
yeah.
I mean, the split tongue thing and like that type of shit where is pretty fairly new. Like, and the craziest thing is that Western cultures, especially now, have taken a lot of these things in these movies and like made them popular here, like scarification or like fucking. There's even white girls doing elongating shit from Africa. Like,
Is there? Oh God.
oh, you never. Oh, My Strange Addiction, bro.
No, I didn't get to that one.
You just got to where the girl liked to eat her husband's ashes.
No, I did the gasoline one, and that was another one too. I don't know.
Mm, I love the
Seen a
gasoline
few of
one.
them.
The huffing and drinking
Or
gasoline
was the
girl.
girl that was wouldn't get rid of her feces and collected her feces? Was she part of that one, or was that a whole
Yeah,
different show?
no,
Okay.
that was My
That
Strange
one was
Addiction too.
gnarly.
I love the girl that ate bricks. She
No
fucking
way.
yeah, shaved off bricks and shit. And like her teeth were strong enough to where she would like bite off little chunks of it and shit and chew it on it all day and like swallow all the pieces and shit.
Get the
No,
fuck out. No way.
dude, that show is my favorite.
Yeah, so Mondo definitely still exists, 100%. Just anything exploitive, essentially. And Mondo, even I mean,
Yeah.
literally is shockumentary in Italian, and that's kind of why more what we're going over. It's not even just Mondo; it's more shockumentaries.
See,
So,
no, I disagree to an extent. I think there should be a distinction just like like English words are based in Latin. Like I don't think just because it meant that in Italian that we should consider them the
well,
two.
I think that there's
Because
definitely. Well, I'm just saying shockumentary is a lot more broad. Like, it's a broad
Right.
term, and the
I
Mondo is kind
think
of in a subgenre and
shockumentary
also
should
in
be
itself.
documentaries that are just shocking rather than Mondo being exploitative or even fake to an extent.
It's shocking.
Like I always
It's
it's
shocking one way or another.
I know. It's
yeah,
shocking.
yeah. I know, but fucking there's a difference between a documentary and a
I
Mondo
get,
film.
I get you, but they're more pseudo documentary style usually. But yeah.
Right.
I'd consider half this shit mockumentary, just people are pussies, don't want to watch real people die. I fucked up thing. I'm gonna say this a lot, even with my picks. I find a lot of these funny. Like just how outdated they are to a certain extent is so hilarious. Like, even though some fucked up shit's happening in the background, like some of it's pretty funny.
Like Faces of Gore with a guy's voice, like the Dr. Vincent Van Gore, which is like,
God.
oh, no! It's just so fucking. I can't
Yeah,
even do his voice, but it's so over the top.
they definitely got pretty cheesy with some shit,
Oh
man.
yeah, that's I think probably is the cheesiest as you get would be probably the Faces of Gore. That one's just pure cheese.
Well, Faces of Gore is like one of the very few examples of a shock film that's supposed to be a spoof of other shock films.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
I know I'm the fucking stupid motherfucker that's in the outliers that hasn't seen it. I'm
Oh, that
always
one's good. That one you need to watch. That one's actually really good.
no, I will watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's fun.
You never told me about it. I was just getting told about, and I want everyone, don't cut this out. What was the fucking title of this? Hold on. What's the anorexic one called?
Oh, God.
That one is so funny, dude.
Did you actually watch it?
I watched bits of it, but the
Yeah, I
title
mean,
is
it's
the
not much
best
to
part
really
of
watch
it.
out of it. It's just more the title.
What is it though?
Uh, it's like anorexic piggy something.
Yeah,
Piggy.
oh yeah, anorexic pig out extravaganza.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Just the title of it already one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah,
Like
I mean that was just kind of going in, how Mondo is also just kind of like it's just anything that's exploitive, and so like that one's just kind of exploiting,
well, I think
anorexia to really fucking weird music.
the most recent like trend in Mondo too is like you said, as we've talked several times, like the different like subgenres where it's like just real death shit. It's like here's cops, here's war footage, here's and you fucking keep naming some. I'm drunk.
Yeah, here I'll kind of go into that. So and kind of get into like the different types because Mondo like or shockumentaries, however you want to call it, like there's always within there. There's even just like what are usually the topics under that are pretty popular. So like gang life is pretty popular, and like a good example will be like Gang of Death, or the Shock Extreme is pretty good. Like their Volume 3, there's like a gang one related to that.
I fucking hate that one.
Do you?
It
Well, to
how
be
can that?
honest, Shock X Extreme is they're all kind of not that good.
But I mean, Gangs of Death. How could that not be the most staged one out of? I guarantee you, it's the same guy with a blue or a red bandana in the same exact position. It's like, and this guy was stabbed multiple times by a Crip down the
Was
street.
that was the one that had like a weird yeah, we just kind of like go into like a almost like seemed like a music video for like half of it and like right? Or was that
I
the
mean,
one?
I haven't seen it in years, but that's how it felt. Like they were
Yeah.
laying in the same position, the same pile of blood next to them, and all they would change is like the blue flag in their back pocket.
Weird.
Literally the entire movie
No, there's
with
a bunch of
somebody.
those. Like the Faces of Dying is awful. Like that's not really good at all. There's a
Oh,
few.
I have all those. I've yet to watch them.
Yeah, there's a few to kind of avoid. They're just obviously just cash grabs and like
Wasn't the Faces of Dying? Wasn't that just a horror like fake anthology like
no, there's
those
a
rip?
no. Well,
No, there's a
there's Faces of Gore, which no, sorry, the Faces of Snuff. That's the one that does that.
yeah.
There's another one too that kind
There
of
was
does.
another one
There's
that was
another one too
more
that's
like gore.
series. It's the I have it actually. Hold on. Faces of Dying is the one.
Faces of
There's
Dying, yeah.
Faces of Death. Phases with a Z is the best.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
really
yeah.
cheesy and like not worth fucking watching.
Faces of Death 2000 parts one
Yeah, the
through eight.
2000, those ones. Yeah, the 2000 ones. Those, yeah, don't avoid those. Those are not that good.
Anything with 2000 in the title, I'm okay with. Except for heavy metal 2000, I'll deal with that.
That was, yeah. It wouldn't definitely not the not to the original, but you know.
No, the original's very fucking
But you go
boring.
back into the thing, war is really popular. So like Faces of War. There's a one that's kind of like in that same realm, the Faces of Death.
Yep. One of my picks has to do with war.
Yeah. Cops is pretty popular. So like Mean Street Police. And then obviously death is probably like probably the biggest thing of just like straight death, you know, just like the death and final journey or like any of the Broke stuff is like pretty much just focusing strictly on death.
Death
Um,
File, red,
yeah,
black,
all
yellow,
those.
every color of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
we need Death File LGBTQ.
I mean, I could just do a whole Broke thing eventually, and I might just do a whole another topic.
Was Mute broke too?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also well, Broke was weird too because there was also a few of like the more fetish extreme films that got into those too. So it wasn't even just like the Mondo
I
stuff.
I thought they had a different like a slightly different name for that.
Well, yeah,
Like
they're still under Broke. Yeah.
no, but I know, but I thought it was like broke something or like they changed something in the title, I thought.
But then medical it was going into Mute. Medical is really
Yeah.
popular. Like Autopsy too. Like you know, so it's like kind of going into that. Um,
My mom showed me so many of that shit when I was way too young. I have no clue what the names were.
yeah. I mean, there's tons of them. Carving the Cadaver is a
I
popular.
still have not seen Jonathan Doe's Carving the Cadaver. It's like his only movie I haven't seen. Or movies. I guess there's like three.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch those.
Yeah. I mean, none of that he recorded himself. It's just a collection.
No, I know. I know he just like compiled it. But still.
I love those three
Um,
films, but I still think my favorite film on that is the documentary on the special features under the certain scalpel or something.
I haven't seen that
I
one.
think I think I might have watched. Did you review that on your channel?
I might have talked about it briefly when I just went through the collection, but
I think that's where I heard that from. Yeah. I've
I
heard
like
that
those
for some
I
reason.
like that one actually better than I love Carving the Cadaver, but I love that one better than the actual Carving the Cadaver.
Yeah, the actual movies.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I love the movies, but that fucking documentary is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And while bringing into the since we're talking about the medical, Renee Wisner, if you want to get into really good ones and stuff, he's probably the best when it comes to like quality wise, and when you want to see like video quality, like it's so clean, he's still active in making Mondo films. Um
Well, he's the newest, and
yeah.
also the
He's he's
last two.
probably the only one keeping the genre alive.
The only person that could compare to Renee Wisner, at least in like the quality of film, would definitely have to be Kiyotaka Surasaki, my favorite Mondo director, and one of my favorite directors.
Next into the topic, animal attacks is pretty popular. But there's not like any, I couldn't think of too many that were just strictly animals. They're kind of just thrown in. There's a lot of like
Nope.
bullfights, and then there's like Savage Man, Savage Beast, but Roar's kind of like a Mondo film. I thought was kind of cool because it's like half into a Mondo, but half like actual film. And it was interesting because it was actually based on thing, and there was more people that are actually hurt in that film than any other film in existence because of the accidental tiger attacks that were happening and
But yeah, that was a
like
that was just a fictional film with a lot of fucked up backstory to it though. But also, yeah, you're talking about animal attacks. I'm pissed because I should have added Bull's Revenge too.
I said
That's the I was 8 years old when I first watched that. That's the first Mondo movie I have. I still have the VHS I've had since I was a kid. Fucking my aunt had that because they were a country living and they loved watching crazy shit. Hey, I have the whole series of Bull's Revenge actually. There's like fucking quite a few of them. Oh god, some of that shit's gnarly, bro. There's a part where the fucking bull's horn goes straight through a guy's eye socket and it fucking like rips his whole side off and he's like flying by his eye socket in his skull, but then his skull breaks and it fucking rips the whole thing off. Yeah. So needless to say, my childhood was peaches and candy.
another popular one, automotive crashes, road rage, paramedics kind of has a lot of that because it's like aftermath of like car crashes and stuff. Not necessarily the car crashes themselves, but aftermath stuff. That
Yeah,
actually is pretty good. There's like three of them. They're actually kind of cool.
it's funny how Mondo kind of turned into just like basic fucking cable television.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
if you ever took driver's ed, you definitely saw at least one of those films, like
Dude,
Red Asphalt, Road Rage,
yeah.
any of those.
So going into next in this little things, exploitation is another one that's pretty popular. I mean, there's a bunch that goes into exploitation. I mean, you go into any of the 90s piercing films or any of those are kind of like into Mondo, or the one that I fucking bothered me, to be honest, is like the Silent Scream. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's awful. It's just, it's at all an anti-abortion, Mondo film, but it is so outdated.
Dude,
So
okay.
fucking outdated.
So
Same with like
there's
Chained Girls is so outdated. It's all like
Chained Girls is great. Don't
it's
talk
such
shit
a
about
no,
Chained
it's
Girls.
good. I love that documentary. But
It's good because it's
dated.
outdated.
It is so dated. It's
That's why it's good.
like, oh my
No,
God, saying like the lesbians are gonna
but
like, turn into like violent killers because they're gonna be jealous. I'm like, oh my God.
no, there's this movie called 808 with a fucking like arrow around it, and it's literally all Holocaust footage. And my buddy comes over in like fucking elementary school, and he's like, "Yo, this is the best World War II documentary." And I watch it, and I get to the end of the movie, and it's a bunch of people being like, "This is what abortion does to America. It's creating this mass genocide, just like a Holocaust and Nazis and Jews and stuffs." And I take it down to my mom and I rewatch it and I'm like, Mom, am I crazy? Is this just like Christian crazy fucking abortion
No,
stuff?
it's on my Mondo. Watch this the Silent Scream one time and just a
The
little bit.
silent scream just sounds like rape.
It's not it's also just a guy talking over, but it's just like in that same like educational, like, did you know? Blah, 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 and then this up, it's like that kind of fucking guy. Anyways,
Sounds
another
like the guy from Faces of Gore doing an after-school special.
another thing is common is banned from television. Like banned and exposed
yeah.
2000X, or just banned from television or banned in America. There's a bunch of those. There's just kind of like that, what was not supposed to be on TV is like too shocking to, all that stuff,
The
That
the
shit
thing,
made money.
yeah, the things that were
I
aired
mean, even the
once.
Jerry Springer, like too hot for
Oh
the
yeah,
because they did like
absolutely.
Mondo.
Jerry beads. The funniest thing about Banned from Television is I did that review on the films and I mentioned like, hey, I DM'd Joe Francis on Instagram and I hope he gets back to me. 2 days after that video airs, he writes me back on Instagram saying like, hey, saw your video. Thanks so much. You got some questions? Cool, shoot them at me. And I'm just like, you willing to do an interview? He's just like, hell yeah, fuck yeah, let's set it up. So he calls me. He's just like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, just for YouTube, ask a few questions. He's like, all right, call me tonight. We'll do it. So it's like, all right, you ready? Yeah, let's do it. Doesn't answer.
Oh no.
Doesn't answer. So I text him back the next day. I'm like, something happened? Like, he's like, oh yeah, sorry, I got caught up. Why don't we shoot for next week? As a matter of fact, we'll do a video call of it. Yeah, make it look cool. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, let's do it. Text him literally the day of, like, hey, you down to do it? He's like, yeah, bro, this is gonna be fun. Let's do it. It's like, okay, 7 o'clock. Call. No answer.
Hmm.
Call back. No answer.
I've done that for 2.5 months with somebody, and
Been
I
through that a
finally got
lot,
the
yeah.
fucking interview, and I was so glad I did. It was a Kurt Dirt one. That was such a
Hey, we could have kept that till you said that.
that
I'm actually
fucking episode was so hard to get. Like it took me forever to get him to like he would just flake on me, fucking months on end. And
I'm actually not mad that Joe Francis flaked on me because maybe 2 weeks after we were supposed to do that documentary on him when he did Girls Gone Wild and those girls coming out of like how he like sexually assaulted them came out. So I'm like, all right, this could be a blessing in disguise.
Right.
Like it could have got some hits in the beginning and then 2 weeks later, like,
Like,
you're a
oh,
fucking
you're
monster.
yeah. Well, I didn't know. And it's like,
Well,
yeah. I mean,
Girls Gone
allegations
Wild has some underage shit in there too. It's like they didn't check IDs all the time, bro.
Oh no. No, if you read some of those articles, you're like, no.
It's bad.
which
No,
when you think about it, is like I wonder if all that shit's getting pulled or whether they did get
well,
all.
they discontinued them, but I mean,
I
you
know they
can't.
discontinued
No,
them.
it's not discontinued. Bang Bros owns them now. Like they still own the Girls Gone Wild title and they do have a website, but
No,
now it's like
but they don't print the DVDs though.
no, they don't print DVDs. They don't go to college bars anymore. It's pretty much just if you go to girlsgonewild.com, it's nothing but like cam girls.
Well, it's like kind
Yeah.
of the
That's
same like
what it is.
Indecline still around. Like Bum Fights is technically around, like Indecline, but they changed their morals and now
Well,
they're
now they're like trying to be like good to the
But
homeless.
actually, be honest, the shit that they do is actually pretty fucking interesting. Some of the I've watched some of the later In Decline stuff. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'll watch you a little bit. It's cool shit. I mean, I don't know. I watch all the In Decline, so I'm not one to be all fucking shallow
Well,
or
I mean, if
not.
you look up In Decline or Bum Fights now, the first thing you'll find is that video with Dr. Phil telling
Yeah.
that guy, "Get off my stage.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I love
Uh,
that so much.
What's wrong with you? Get out of here."
Didn't he dress
be
just like
honest,
Dr. Phil too in
yeah.
that fucking video?
He got
Yeah,
Yeah.
kicked out.
literally same
He got
jacket,
kicked out during the
blue
video,
shirt.
the intro of the video, and that's all that got premiered.
Well, he wore a bald cap too.
No
Apparently
way.
that
I
actually
didn't see that
that
part.
wasn't one of the guys actually from Bum Fights though. That was just somebody that was like representing them, apparently. Right?
Well, their whole point was to be shocking. So yeah. Well, I mean, like I was just telling Christian today, I'm shocked that my local fucking like bumfuck video store had like all of Indecline's catalog. Like
No
fucking
way.
yeah, special interest section, bro. Like what the fuck?
While I'm doing it, I might as well. I always wanted to do this. I wanted to go over In Decline since we're talking about it and say that there's how many actual releases of In Decline there are.
There was an outrageous amount of bump
There
fights.
was.
Yeah.
I only have three of them.
Oh, he has all of them.
With the In Decline of the different types of various releases, I think is very interesting. So the first release was actually a white DVD case. It is very controversial because of a scene with a goat and a homeless person. I'm not gonna exactly why, but you can figure. The second one after that was the normal one that has no backing, and it's just the normal In Decline. I don't own the white one, but
No goat.
Okay. But
No
this
go.
one has the shit stuff that apparently got really controversial, which it got taken off too. So but it was like he put like a piece of his own poo in the head and he's like, I'm a shithead and like I'm a piece of shit. And like doing all this stuff and then he just like having making this guy like eat poo. So it got turned into a more of a skate version, which they came out with this one which has the graffiti stuff. Oh, no, this is the demo, sorry. So it has this and it has like little stencils that kind of came with it, which is oh shit, this is here. So it has like little actual stencils, which is cool.
Wow.
But there also was a demo that came out prior to that, which is the demo version of that, which was just like a straight demo version. And then later than that, there's the anniversary edition, which was a whole different, slightly different version as well. So those are all the indeclines, just so you know.
It
And
goes on like this. This motherfucker owns every copy of fucking everything.
I remember I was about to buy Bum Fights 4 off you, and then literally right when you're about to go to the post office, you text me back and you're like, "Oh fuck, sorry, dude. This is bootleg. I'm not selling this to you."
still have a bunch of those.
Oh, I remember you posted a picture on the group later on, and you were just like, "I got like 8 of these fake Bum Fights 4s. Anybody wants them?"
Yeah,
Dude,
I mean, they're still there. I mean, they're pressed. They're still decent. They're not like
when, when my fucking video store closed down, they were literally selling every single title for like $1 or $2. And I could have bought all the bum fights, but I did not know there was such a huge crowd for them. Like I watched all of them as a kid, but I'm like, oh, these are fun once. I didn't think anybody was like a fan of them. I could have fucking had all of them. I would have sold so much money.
Dude, there was a video store in Arizona that went out of business. Me and the guy from Brain Damage went over there just to load up on a bunch of films. They had an NC-17 section, and I bought the stupidest fucking shit known to man. They had other things like Flower, Flesh, and Blood in there. They had fucking
Damn.
like anything that we would go crazy over. And of course, I brought fucking Inbred Rednecks Volume 2.
That I would have bought it too. That title would have dragged
God,
me in.
God damn, I wish I can go back there.
yeah.
Yeah. And since it's a Mondo episode, I could talk about it. You didn't answer me on the text messages. I went to Salvation Army last week and I bought Felony Fights Volume 1 for $2.
Oh, yeah.
And
No way.
it was a British release too.
Yeah. The,
Yeah.
the thing is that I mean the UK and the thing there are two different versions of felony fights. There is a censored version because of the guy that's in the whole thing. They actually are kicking a Nazi guy's ass and he loses in the fight, which is great. So it's actually kind of like a cool thing because like yeah, he's fighting a Nazi like a whatever or neo-Nazi, but he gets his fucking ass kicked. So it's kind of like really rewarding to watch it. But they censored a lot of it because they had like swastikas in the background and all the different shit. And so there's like
Uh,
there's two different versions of felony fights. There's the uncensored and the regular one. But
I
that's
probably have
because
the
of the
censored version then
I
because
think I have 4 and 5.
yeah, Britain are cunts. So I
yeah.
probably have the
And
censored
there's
version.
and there's the Queens of the Hood is part of felony fights too. It's like all the girl fights.
Dude, yeah. Fucking no.
Which actually there's
Girl,
two different Queens of the Hoods. There's one that XTC did.
what, there,
And
the
also
Girls Gone
two different
Wild had a sub thing that was girl fights.
Did they
Oh, did
really?
they?
They did. And there's one release. I saved the picture of it. You can't find this shit anywhere, not even for an absorbent amount of money. But like fucking the volume 4, it has this really hot white trash girl. I'm like, I fucking want that. I think it was like Girl Brawls or Girl Fights, like Girls Gone Wild presents. Like it was like 3 or 4 volumes, and they're almost impossible
Yeah,
to
there's like it's kind of like the
No
one
way.
the porn star Punch Out I want so bad that's like hosted by Ron Jeremy. It is impossible to find, but I want it so bad. It's literally just porn stars doing bad like fake boxing, but it's just hosted.
Oh,
I've seen
I do
one match of it.
I do want you to keep this in too. By the way, with all the Girls Gone Wild fucked up shit, I only own one, and that's the Doug Stanhope one because it's hilarious and it's only
I
owned.
remember seeing those infomercials. I remember those as a kid.
Dude, him as of like him in an interview talking about it, like he was so mean to the hot girls. It's literally like 60-year-old women and shit flashing their tits because he was so mean to everybody else. Like it
You
is.
went to fucking Alaska to film some of that shit.
Yeah, no, yeah, because they fucking were like, dude, you're hopeless. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do with you? He's like, fly me to Alaska. He's drunk as fuck. Like, they keep it all in the movie. It's hilarious. It's the best stand-up he's ever done.
I remember I saw a clip of that and he's just like, "Hey, will you show me your tits?" The girl's like, "What if I tell you go to hell?" He goes, "I don't think you have the balls."
Like I kind of just did, didn't
Dude, yeah.
I?
I paid $30 for it and it was so worth it. I watch it, like I show it to everybody who comes to my house. Like, I love that fucking shit so
I
much.
just remember as a
I have
kid
so many of those
waking
full
up.
finds. I'm like, I want everyone to see this, but like, it's hard to.
I remember as a kid waking up after watching South Park at like 9 o'clock, waking up at 3 a.m. to see the
But
infomercial for Doug Stanhope does Girls Gone Wild and seeing girls doing
yeah.
like naked snow angels in Anchorage.
Like, it was crazy how often that Girls Gone Wild would pop up on commercials. If you were like after 10 o'clock, it's happening like every single.
After 10 o'clock, it was Girls Gone Wild and phone sex lines, bro.
It was like, and people don't realize it's funny. Like young kids, I'm like, yeah, no, like you wonder why we're all perverts. Like we're all
Dude,
people are perverts. We grew up just like
yeah.
being pushed perverted shit.
Or fucking
It was
boner
like
or
we
boner
just wanted to
pills, dude.
watch like bullshit and mash.
Yeah.
And like we're pushed fucking perverted shit in ours.
Dude,
Hey, you want to see these young girls flash their titties? Of course you do. And I'm like, "Oh,
I was explaining that to my little cousin,
God."
and I'm like, dude, you know the advertisements you see on Pornhub on the sides? We got full videos of that. Like, I got boner pill fucking shit. I got phone sex lines. Like, that's the shit I saw on real television, bro.
Yeah, it's not my fault. I was watching The Daily Show. As soon as it ended, I just hear, "Get ready. This is a paid programming for Girls Gone Wild."
This happened.
I'm proud to be the last generation to have that, though.
I just say I've never owned a Girls Gone Wild. I just have to imagine those trucker guys or whatever, just like, that's my daughter. Just like-
No, that's how it started. That's how all no joke. That's how the allegation started. It was
Yeah.
a
Oh, I
fucking
bet.
yeah, a fucking daughter of the dude who was watching it was like 16 or 17 and he saw her on there.
Oh,
That's how
Ooh.
all of the allegations started.
damn. Yeah.
No joke. Yeah.
Well, that joke's not as funny. That's true.
Yeah. Like I said, I only own one, the Doug Stanhope, and there's definitely overage women in that. So
Well, then he also did that one with Snoop Dogg.
I want to buy that too. I love Snoop.
Would Juice be considered a Mondo film? Please
Jesus
see you've
Christ.
seen Juiced. It's so good.
I
I
have.
want it physically so bad, but it's so expensive and so hard to find. Anyways, let's get back into the next topic. Um,
Oh
natives and
fuck.
natives and savages is another one that's pretty common, and that's probably the most controversial.
Pretty much the OG though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is also the OG. But you know, this violent world, Mondo Bizarro, you can keep fucking go on. It just
Africa, Dido, Mondo Cane.
and they all do in that whole thing about like people being considered savages is just, you know, not good. It's not politically correct. Um,
Ha!
but I mean, that one's I get it. It's definitely a timing thing, but that's just what they're all about, especially in the early days. They're I mean, they had the right intent, especially in the early Mondo Cane. They had the not I mean, not the right intent in the sense that like they're trying to at least somewhat go for a documentary feel. Like at least later on they're just go fucking like they're just cash grabs, you know. That's more what I'm meaning. Is like there's at least a little bit more of like money and things behind it versus just like cash grab later.
More like having names similar to other Mondo titles that were doing good. Like,
Yeah. Like, oh my God, of how
that's
many
why we have fucking 1,000 faces of whatever the fuck.
just don't want faces of ISIS. That's the only one. Just kidding.
Akbar.
It is pretty bad. And then last one to go into like basically like the different styles of Mondo that there are is just basically American life. So like This Is America is a good example.
Oh, Killing of America.
Killing
Yeah.
of
Killing America
America.
is a good one too, or you know, so there's a bunch of those that just kind
Uh,
of like go into like what the taboos of American life.
I should
Mondo,
have
New
cho
York.
Yeah, Mondo, New York. I
Mhm.
should have chose it, but I haven't seen it in long enough, like recent enough for me to choose it. Killing of America just arguably is one of the best Mondo movies
Oh,
out there.
absolutely.
Yeah. Just I had to say that because it's not on my
Shout outs
list.
I
Goblin.
only saw that recently for the first time, and I fucking loved it.
Oh, it's been years. Yeah. But no, it's a fucking amazing movie.
Yeah, I would love to find that physically. It's kind of
It's not out of
It's
print.
on Blue. It's on Blu-ray now. Severin released it.
oh, did they?
Severin,
Did they
yeah,
just release
Severin
it?
did.
I'm more meaning like the OG original release is kind of hard to find.
Severin released it
Mhm.
like for years. I mean, it barely had an OG release. I mean, it got pretty fucking banned and talked about pretty early.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Seven was the first one to be like, this is a good movie. You
Well,
should
Severin
watch
does
it.
they pick up so much good stuff that's just like not usually picked up.
Yeah, too fucking expensive though.
Yeah.
Uh, I love how Blue Underground is starting to go back in the Mondo catalog and release them on Blu-ray and 4K.
I'll stick to Blue Underground DVDs because I could find them on Hamilton Books for like $3. Dude, I've
Yeah,
like
there's some
fucking
upgrades where I really don't give a fuck. I'm like, cool, you can watch it in 4K or I can just watch it in 1080p and
dude, if it's an SOV movie, fuck you
like
putting it on 4K, you piece of
yeah,
shit.
exactly. There's some
Yeah,
qualities that,
no.
like I really don't give a fuck. I don't care how well it transfers and things like I just it's fine. I like to watch the grittiness of it. It gives it a tone and I like
Right.
the tone. It's like taking like artistic style off of an artist and just saying like no, we're just going to be just the basic context of what you painted. Like no, I want to the weird offness is what makes it good. And like
Yeah, like fuck fixing it in post, bro.
yeah, it gives it an organic feel.
That's why I usually stick to VHSs or DVDs, actually.
Yeah. Closest to the original is best, to be honest. I don't want like upscaled.
I mean, how much can you actually upscale those?
Fucking barely.
Yeah.
Unless it's film.
Nowadays, all they're going to be doing is they're going to AI everything to make it re-rendered of like, oh, this used to be blurry. Now it's all clear and like recreated. And like they're going to do entire movies that are like AI recreated. And like it's going to fucking happen.
Eh, I believe it. I'd do that with my first short film, 100%. I was too drunk to film that last effects scene, and I didn't want to refilm it.
That's what I'm saying. There's going to be entire films that are just all done like that. And we're not going to know. We're going to be blindsided, be like, oh, look, that's so cool. It's like, yeah, of course.
I don't think AI is good enough to where we
I'm
won't
not to,
know
we're not to
yet.
that point yet. I'm saying we're going to get to that fucking
We
point.
will be there, yeah.
Eventually, yeah. The Unreal Engine's pretty fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, we're so close to that point. It's kind of scary. And we're not going to know who really said what. Like, oh, was that Joe Biden? No, it wasn't. It was some fucking other person. We might be already there. And the public is just blindsided. Let's see. Anyways. Anyway, so that's basically the list of different ones. Now we're going to kind of go into our picks, what we feel is our favorites. I'm going to start, and one that I kind of did is I mean I feel like it's definitely kind of The Godfather in some aspect, but like Rare Dead Person. If you're going to go into a broke and kind of go into like the OG, like there's Rare Dead Person 2 and then More Rare Go Deep. I forgot the other one, but there's basically three into it. But
Close enough.
that would led into Death Files and Death Farm and just a lot of those like Japanese. And there's definitely a tone to the Japanese Mondo versus like the American Mondo. And maybe it's because you can't understand what they're talking about, but even just the gore itself, they're a lot more just like in your face, I think. I mean, not, I just like the footage a little bit better. They're not trying to sugarcoat anything. It's similar to like their horror. It's a little bit more edgy. It's a little bit more out there. So I dig their style.
It's definitely the start with like how Mondo ended up being just a lot of like real death stuff.
Mhm.
And I get what you're talking about too, because the Japanese have a more like you ever seen the movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal? where it's like fucking he's just that sick perverted fucking news reporter that would film as much as possible just for the thrill of it and the money. Like it feels like that's how the Japanese viewed it, is like there was a darkness to the tone, but it was more like we're fucking getting in there. Fuck the police are right there. We're going right there.
Yeah,
And everywhere else
a
is
lot of
like, oh fuck,
close-ups.
police are here.
Yeah, there's a
Like
lot of
let's back up.
close-ups. Like the other ones is like, like helicopter footage and like, like
Yeah.
stuff like that where it's like, no, that they're actually like they're documenting. They're like Vice City, like not Vice, but like, Vice magazine, like getting in the fucking shit. Um, yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of that fucking that one short in Junk Films where the fucking mother died and like all the police and shit are like going through the window and stuff. And like the really dark lighting, like even Kiyotaka doesn't even have a light on his fucking camera. Like it's this weird it kind of turned beautiful. Like I loved that. But was I supposed to say my pick? I'm just
Well, I
talking
mean, I
after
haven't
your shit.
announced it to anyone else. We're just talking about that one in general, but you can
Yeah,
go
yeah.
now.
My pick, because it's the one I could talk about without having to look at notes, and since I'm not sober, Roscoe the Embalmer, one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm sure if you've listened to any of my podcasts or fucking any time I talk about it, you know it's one of my favorite movies. It's such a touching, beautiful film and so sad, and I feel like I'm in the minority when it comes to that because it is graphic. It is super fucking graphic, but in a very enlightening way that a lot of Mondo films aren't, because it's very subtle, kind of. Like Kiyotaka kind
I was gonna
of.
show, and I was like, I don't think I can show any of this.
Oh, well, I'll show
Not even
the
the spine. I can't even
Kiyotaka
show this.
collection from Tetro. Uh, but he seems like he's like back and he doesn't like poke or prod or anything, because there's this whole scene in the movie where Roscoe is dealing with a corpse that was basically considered suicide, but the cops killed them, and he was trying to be very selective about what he said because he doesn't want to get killed himself, which is horrifying. Like it's a horrifying experience. And Kiyotaka is just there. Like he's just documenting. Like he never really pokes at anything. And like I think personally, if the baby scene in the movie was cut out, then it wouldn't even be considered a monofilm or a shockumentary. It would just be a normal documentary. Because the baby scene is pretty fucking disturbing. But if you know anyone who is a mortician or know anything about that culture, you have to have a little brevity. You have to think about things in a different perspective. And I excuse that. And I mean he technically did make a joke with the newborn corpse, but fucking it's one of my favorite movies. And I'm glad that it was made. And I love that this is in memorial to him, because he did an amazing thing for his community and he was an amazing person, and I'm glad that he's able to live on. And I always get sentimental when I talk about this, but I love Orozco the Embalmer.
Well, if you look at Orozco compared to like other films of that nature, you'll have somebody on camera who's essentially poking fun at the dead or making crude remarks.
Showing
Orozco
love to the
is
dead.
there being his true self and
Hmm.
being actually sympathetic to those who's on his embalming table. And he's in
Yeah.
a sense like the anti-hero compared to all these other films that we've been exposed to.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like, the only time he makes a joke is with the dead baby. But like, if you feel really uncomfortable, like literally laughter is the best medicine. Like it's just like a coping mechanism. Like you could tell that's not who he is as a person. Like it's I don't know. If people just step back and was
The fact
able
that there's like
to
two parts to that film too, because it goes into like the first part of the embalming and then goes into the culture and like his background a little bit too. So it's kind of like feels like
the background definitely did help too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and just the danger in there, because I mean, like the balls of Kiyotaka and of Orozco. I mean, like him even saying the small amount he did about that death that was easily murder that the cops said was not, was like, that was ballsy. Like you could tell he was scared to say any more, even what he said. Like it has depth to it. And I think that if people like, even the covers bother me when it's like a fucking dead body or something, or like fucking, I love this, but like the inner cover with all the gore and shit, like it turns people away from what I consider one of the best documentaries out there. Like I love extreme horror and I love the aspect of like spoiling things could help somebody want to watch them. But with something this good, it needs to be taken differently.
But still, to each their own. Like people that just can't handle real autopsy type footage just can't handle that film. It's
You
just
know what? You know one of the most famous fucking shows out there, Botched, with huge gore and
well, I know I
huge
get that, but I'm
everything.
saying if you can't handle, you can't handle. So it's just
But that's the thing is it's context.
yeah.
In the if
And at
it's in
least
a
it's good
certain
content.
context, people could handle it. But if it's looked at in a different context, is a problem. When it's looked at as a Mondo film or as an extreme film, it's looked at completely differently than just a normal
I get that.
documentary.
I get that. I get what you're getting at. But
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But sorry, I get emotional about that. That's one of my favorite movies ever. I love
before you
Orozco.
cry, let's pass it on to Steve. I'm just kidding.
I have cried reviewing that before. No joke. So yeah, Steven, you go for it.
So one of the films that I picked was Savage Man, Savage Beast, and that's an excellent example of a Mondo film showing the main purpose in it is to depict hunting, and it shows man hunting animals, animals hunting man, and also man hunting man.
Yeah, it does give a good variety.
Yeah, it's
Literally
like,
everything in
Really
one.
does
Yeah.
does
and
match the title very
you'll
well.
see people around the world hunting deer, hunting. There was foxes at one point, and you'll see criminals being ready to be executed and then eaten. And
Yeah,
then, of course, you have the famous scene of the lion attacking the cameraman in front of his own family,
yeah.
which I'm pretty sure that was staged as well.
And that's to go into staging. There's a lot of stuff that turns out later on that ends up getting that was staged, like Faces of Death, like a good portion of it staged.
All of it.
But no, not all of it. So
Almost,
there's a mix.
almost all of it,
So what they did is they matched scenes. They
right?
would get footage from like a library or whatever it was from the time, and they would buy them from them essentially, and they claim footage, and then they'd try to match everything. But the thing is, Faces of Death is really actually really cool because they did a really good job matching and actually trying to make it where it seemed like one full
Damn.
thing. And so it's actually really fucking cool when you think about it that way and how they fooled so many people to like thinking it's real.
I saw an
60% real, 40% fake.
I
Yeah.
saw an interview with John Allen Schwartz, the director, and the scene with the woman jumping to her death. The scene with her actually falling is real, but they filmed the firefighters running up the stairs trying to
Yeah.
stop her,
It just kind of
and that
fluffed
part
and
was
added
staged.
to everything. And it was actually really cool. And I wish somebody would pick that up again and do something in that similar style.
Well, now
Because
they're going to be
that
doing the remake.
well, yeah, but they're not going to do that in the remake.
Dude,
It's not going to be
It's
real.
not going to be.
Absolutely
No,
not.
none of that's going to be fucking real.
none of it is.
But I don't even. I'll be honest. I
There
don't
was
know anything
huge
about
Hollywood
that.
actors
That is
attached
all
to
just
that too.
money grab. I'm like,
Was there really?
Yeah, dude. Fucking, and that was one of the only things, like my dad's not a horror fan at all, but we started talking about that because Faces Death is just the biggest cultural
yeah.
fucking thing in Mondo.
Yeah.
Like fucking you could not like horror at all, but you know what Faces Death is if you're over like fucking 25 or 30.
Well, they used
Like,
to have like theater things where they would pay you to like stay there, or you get rewards of some sorts, like based on what the theater was.
well,
Like,
it was the
like
sleepover
not
thing.
throw up or something,
It was a challenge.
whatever.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
how
a
much
challenge,
can you take?
kind of like the Guso Milk challenge nowadays.
yeah. Well, speaking of that, I'll just fucking pull it out since it was my second pick.
Oh,
This
OG.
Faces of Death Beta Max. Beautiful.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which, if
Yeah.
you ever curious, it is junk in Japanese, is not Faces of Death. And then there's also I don't have the first super junk, but then it goes super junk. So there's junk and then super junk, but they're basically like best of is like super junk of sorts.
Yeah. But Faces of Death, the fucking monkey scene, man, I still can't believe that's not real. Like, that's fucking insane. That was the only scene in that movie where I'm like, that is so fucking real, dude. And nope,
Nope, rubber mallet.
not at all, dude.
Yeah, that fact
It
or
was
fiction
gnarly.
and documentary is really cool. If you get the and you still get it, Oregon, the site's still up and you can get the Faces of Death collection. And in that collection, it actually has the fact or fiction DVD. Highly recommend that because it's really educational. It's you learn a lot about the Faces of Death and the background behind it, and it gives you a whole different perspective of the film.
Hell yeah.
I need to watch that actually.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I saw an interview with the guy's wife talking about like how much of an impact the film made, and she said she one day got pulled over by the cops for speeding, and she was trying to get out of this ticket so bad they're not budging, and she's like, "Can I just say one thing that might change your mind?" They're like, "For it." She's like, "My husband directed Face of Death." The guy's just like, "Can you hold on 1 second?" Goes, calls his supervisor. He's like, "Okay, you're good to go. Have a nice day."
That's amazing though. Because I mean,
Yeah, that became such an icon to things. So it's just like, oh yeah.
dude, it's a huge fucking icon. I can't even
Huge.
think of
And
any
we're thinking
horror
it's still
film.
relevant. It's still fucking relevant. And
100%.
it's
Yeah.
an 80s,
Absolutely.
80s. When was it come out? 80 something, but when was the
No, it was 70
Sometime.
something. It was 78 when it
Oh,
came out.
78.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like early 80s, but okay, 78, yeah, even earlier. Um, but yeah, so pretty relevant.
No, that was the first like sleepover movie that you found and you would like dare all your friends to
Before
watch
like
it. Like when
rotten.com and shit.
VHS came out. Yeah. Like it was the first thing of its kind of like the run the gauntlet or whatever. Like the first shock video, basically.
Yeah, like,
Can
oh,
you
are
handle
you
this?
cool? Have you watched Faces of Death? You know, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like
It
if you
came
can
to a
handle faces of death, you'll be my friend.
it came to a point where schools would have to like send letters out to parents saying like check your kid's backpack and make sure they have Faces of Death in their bag
Yeah. They
because
were
it's being
literally,
passed
It was
around the
such a
schools.
phenomenon.
dude, that was all across the US.
Like
It
as
There
was
was
big
like
like
as
a
it
warning
was
for
the
every
one
parent.
piece of physical media to be banned from schools next to like Huckleberry Finn at the time.
yeah,
Dude, it was crazy. Yeah.
big phenomenon.
And like we said, still is today. I mean, why the fuck would Hollywood even think about remaking it? It makes no sense, but it's such a huge phenomenon. They're like, we need to make money. We could suck this bitch dry. But they don't know that it's already been sucked dry from the underground scene for fucking years. So
Like, believe me, the scene's not that active. You're fine. If anything, it's gotten worse. It's like it's just like the mixtape gore collections, and Mondo ain't nothing. Like,
well, that's the thing though, is that
send him.
Faces Death are so huge, you don't even have to be a horror fan to know it. So when the remake comes out, like I think it might be like the whole Marvel situation where it's like, oh, this is what I was dealing with as a kid, like fucking taking your kids to see it because you know it, they're not gonna do anything actually fucked up in it.
Send them Baphomet one and see what they say.
With how our climate is, I'm interested. Even though it's all going to be fake, I'm super interested in what they're going to be considering shocking.
So we were talking about bum fights before, but to reference something, and I'm going to do my pick. But bum fights actually did a Mondo film.
Yeah, the terrorist
So
killers.
yeah, terrorist killers and Middle East wackos. Which it's okay. It's got like some assassination stuff and some different things. The soundtrack is decent. The cuts are cool. Like they did a it's definitely better than a lot of fucking Mondo films that you'll see out there. But I think there's like zero narrative though. It's just basically just kind of like a music video with like execution footage and different things. But it's pretty cool. I actually kind of dug them for them to kind of like branching out and doing something different out of the bum fight series. But
It feels like they had no money and we're like, we need to make money.
yeah, I mean,
Let's
it's a
take
cash
all this
grab. It's a,
footage.
like, but a lot of the shit's cash grab. So you just gotta have to see for what.
Sure, sure.
Well, at the
Okay.
time, all that shit was so popular as a cash grab that pretty much every scene that you'd see in that DVD was used in just about every other shock film.
But it's
Yeah.
kind of good if you want to just see like an definitive, like, oh, what is OG Mondo like, or 90s Mondo like? Just watch that. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what Mondo, like 90s Mondo is.
Exactly. So, my next pick is Buried in the Sand, The Deception of America. The very last, at least in our knowledge, government-funded Mondo film. It was made in 2004, and it is fucking hilarious. I want to talk about the funny parts before the fucked up parts. The fucking narrator is literally like America's Funniest Home Videos, fucking hilarious motherfucker. He sounds just like him. And it goes into like horrible gore shit, and then it goes into like basically what we would consider like Christian gospel music, but Muslim gospel music. And they're like, this is the horrifically atrocious propaganda that they used to get the kids in the Taliban. And it's like, I've seen the Taliban propaganda. This is just Muslim music. It's pretty fucking funny.
I
There's
know some of the
a
extremes of what they try to find to make it extreme is like that's pretty like basic, and now you're just offensive. I'm like,
yeah, dude, it's fucking hilarious. Favorite thing, only Mondo movie to be funded by the US government too.
oh, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. But fucking Buried in the Sands, the fucked up shit is it's basically just a propaganda film of like, yo, this is the reason why we should be in Iraq and everything is perfect now. Literally the end of the movie is everything is perfect now. Fucking Iraq now has democracy. Didn't we do great? And it's like, whoa, we didn't leave till
Kinds of the
2021.
abandoned factories that no one left for anyone to work, so now they're just a bunch of like shit. They
Dude, yeah, the fucking massive amount of civilian deaths. We literally didn't leave till 2021, and we should have left way before that. Fucking, oh God. It's so horrific. And the funniest thing is it's not funny, it's kind of fucked up. The fake part of it, what really makes it Mondo in the traditional sense, they use footage that has nothing to do with Saddam Hussein because they blame Saddam Hussein for like all the terrorist killings and shit. And they're just taking everything out of context to try to prove themselves right.
No,
And they never source the videos. But if you look at the
extremist
sources, it's
ideology. It is not one person. It's a whole fucking movement. Like wake
well,
up,
they were
people.
saying that
Like
Saddam and the Taliban were the same. It's like, no, Saddam did not control the Taliban. There were two separate entities. And like there would be like Saddam fucking the shooting, it's not shooting gallery, what's that called? Firing squad. Like Saddam firing squad. And then it would jump to like fucking, oh, here's a terrorist beheading. Saddam's fault. Oops. It's like, oh, he didn't have anything to do with that, buddy. It's so fucking stupid. It's just to fucking make all Americans feel better that we killed a shitload of people for oil because we're all
my
fucking.
next pick is gonna go right into it, but we'll let Stephen go.
Oh yeah, I'm done ranting. I could go for hours about how we're a piece of shit fucking society. But
Yeah,
whatever.
that's the whole next one is gonna go right up.
Okay, Steven, go for it.
So the other pick that I had was obviously the original Mondo Cane. Um, what was
Classic.
what was interesting that I learned only recently about this is the soundtrack of it was done by Riz Orlani, the same guy who did the score for Cannibal Holocaust.
Really?
I didn't know
That's
Yeah,
that.
awesome.
absolutely.
Wow.
So this one definitely was the one to make Mondo films popular. And you, of course, had your government funded Mondo films before this, but Mondo Cane definitely took the Western audiences into the other parts of the world and exposed so many different cultures and groups of people for the rituals and the stuff that they did. What's funny enough is if you look at not only Mondo Cane, but if you look at so many of these other Mondo
Ugh.
films showing people eating cats and dogs and fucking like
Ugh.
mice and whatever.
Guinea pigs.
Exactly. You look at it now and you think, since obviously time has gone by, these people are probably looking at us and being like, why are you looking at us for eating cats and dogs, you
It's our
know.
food, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, you people eat fucking, you go to India and cows are like essentially dogs to people in India.
Oh, they're
You
fucking
people
gods,
eat
bro.
cows in your country, and we look at you as barbarians, but you look at us for eating a fucking cat as bad people. Makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Well, the fucking okay. Two things to say. The main point though, I fucking hate so bad that we think that we're so much better that we need to fucking like judge other societies for their cultures and their traditions. And I mean, like people do it to us, but not as much as we do it to them. Like,
We have taboos just as much as other cultures have taboos. You know, it's
Oh,
just
of course.
like
first of all, we should stay the fuck out of other people's business. Like fucking even okay, the really fucked up thing, like the Chinese dog festival where they torture and eat the dogs, that's fucked up. But I
no.
saw a petition on petition.org to stop it. You think you're gonna
Well, it
stop
would
an
be, it's
entire
more just
fucking
like I personally like that's crazy. I couldn't do that. Like, but I wouldn't like try to stop it. It's like it's whatever. It's like it's not my culture, not my thing. But it's like, but yeah, but it doesn't mean you have to like bow
well,
completely.
that's the thing that bothers me is we think we have the entitlement to stop other countries' traditions. It's like a petition's not gonna stop a fucking 100-year-old tradition. Like,
Yeah.
go fuck yourself, you entitled piece of shit. Second thing, Mondo Cane is actually funded by the government too.
Yeah. And going into
What,
monocon,
the Italian government or?
Yeah, the Italians fund their own movies, dude.
yeah. So
Oh, I
go
didn't
into
know.
that big collection, by the way. There's a whole like slew of Mondo like stuff
Yeah,
not during that time. If you can see
yeah,
I have that box set and mine's fucking
Ace
torn to
yeah.
pieces.
yeah, the bot mine's too. It's taped like badly. These are for some reason this plastic they crack so fucking quick.
You go
But
on eBay and anybody who has that same box set is literally barely hanging on. It's
yeah,
so
but there's like Godfather Armando,
I love Goodbye Uncle Tom. That just
Uncle
got re-released.
Oh, sorry, Africa,
Adito.
Dito, sorry, and then Woman of the World. And this is like another version of the other one, essentially.
It's Uncle Tom. Yeah, it's director's cut
Yeah.
of it.
Like, yeah, they're basically the same film, but it's just different cuts of it. And then, yeah, the Mondo Kane 1 and 2, and then, yeah, a different cut of the same. But,
Oh wait, then the other one wasn't a
oh, the other
director's
one's
cut
a
of
different
Africa.
film. Yeah, that's
Adito.
what I meant. This is,
Adito Africa.
yeah, there's a director's,
Oh no, Adito Uncle Tom.
yeah, so they're different. They're just all the director's cut. So it's basically, yeah, this collection's cool. But yeah, the box does not fucking hold well. And
no.
it's funny of how much people will pay. Another one that's kind of doesn't hold well is that, and I even spent like $100 just to get a clean one.
Oh, the Uazaki or whatever the
Ozaki,
fuck it's
Oh, okay.
called.
like, Legion
The
of
hentai.
yeah, like my original box was so fucking beat, like ridiculously beat. So I spent like $100 just to get a fucking clean like case for it. But I'm like, I'm stoked now though. I'm not
I
gonna.
can't even pay $100 to find a decent box set of the Mondo Cane collection because every one of them is fucking falling apart.
I believe it.
That box set goes for like $400 though. So like I was worth it to fucking just clean it up. So and it's
See,
just going up.
I'd rather have shitty cases and a good outer shell. Like the good outer shells are what make it for me.
Yeah,
Like,
I
Yeah,
slowly
I agree.
replace bad shit. So yeah, I feel it. If I can find a good case of something, I'll just sell the bad one and then rebuy the new one. And then it's like, oh, $20 upgrade. It's fine.
well,
I'll do that.
to be honest too, I do a lot of this shit for nostalgia. So I buy like beat up, fucked up versions of like Bubba Hotep or Itchy the Killer because like that's what I watched as a kid. Like I want that version. Fuck if it looks like shit. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I think Mondo Cane, even though it wasn't the first, it definitely was the first to really get people's attention into this niche genre of
100%.
documentaries.
And then Faces of Death just like blew it out of the water.
Faces of Death just took it to an entirely different level.
And Traces
Well,
of Death too. Traces of Death is really, and a key part too, because it was the first to kind of like be like, oh, we're gonna the ones that are gonna actually use real footage all the way and like kind of push it. They became
yeah.
popular.
Well, the thing is too is that like when Mondo Cane and like fucking Africa Dito and all that shit came out, like they didn't want you to know that part of it was fake. And with Faces of Death, they didn't really have an opinion. That was the whole marketing scheme. Like that's what blew it out because it was a marketing scheme. They didn't try to, I mean, they did try to really convince you, but they weren't like,
Well, Mondo Kane's not
it
focused
wasn't
on
propaganda.
that.
Well,
What's
I
up?
mean, Mondo Kane is not propaganda
Oh, sorry,
either.
not
It's
Mondo. Yeah.
very, it is a good film, and it is the one that really sparked it. But like, I don't know. I think Faces of Death is a little different area there.
Yeah, I know they're
For
entirely
sure.
different films. Like, I think they're entirely different.
Well, as you look at it, it only evolve as time goes on, it only evolves into shock for the sake of shock. Like you'll have Faces of Death
100%.
being shocking, but it still has some sort of artistic merit behind it.
Yeah.
Traces of Death, you go for clip after clip of gore footage, then you take it one step further by enhancing the atmosphere with death metal music.
Yeah,
That
I kind of
seems
like
to,
the how.
See, I feel we've talked about this a couple times. I feel like Traces is really the one that started like the fucking music video aspect to
oh
it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I still have my Traces of Death 3 and 4 soundtracks from Relapse and Nuclear Blast sitting
That's
somewhere.
fucking badass, dude. The
Yeah,
Nuclear Blast put out
Nucle-
fucking the
Nuclear
soundtrack.
Bl Well, the second one was Century Media, the same label for like Sangusuga Bog and other
Yeah.
gore bands. The third one, they did a partnership with Relapse, and they had bands like Mortician, Meshuggah,
I
other
love
bands like
Meshuggah.
that. And
Yeah.
then I guess Traces of Death 4, they got approached by Nuclear Blast Records, and they did a soundtrack for that. And I'm not sure about, I think Traces of Death 5 might have been Century Media again,
and it
but
really does make a difference, especially when footage like that, like a good, awesome soundtrack, just really makes it. And like, not to go into like this is not Mondo, but go into real gore, but I forget which one, but they do all that really cheesy, dumb like the footage, the music that you can find on like your like PowerPoint presentation films, but they do that over it just as like a joke, and I think it fucking works really well. And it's like you just watch it, there's like most gnarly shit. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But
Uh, I love the
soundtrack
gnarly mix
matters.
with gnarly though. Soundtracks do matter. 100%.
Oh, going to another one that speaking of like banging, it's maybe off topic. I don't think either of us are picking it, but True Gore. Oh my God, like that one has banging soundtrack because it's kind of like it's also music related. It's not all just like gore. It does a lot of like bands that are just into like fucking gnarly shit. Like the people that like had a pig carcass and put a drill into it. I forget the name of the band, but like fucking gnarly shit. And so it's really cool, like branches out into the really counterculture of the world, and like in the music scene especially.
I think the clip with the pig in it was actually the music was done by the director's band, from
Mm,
what I read online.
that's cool. I forget the name of the band. I was trying to write it down and didn't get around to it, but
It's got some awesome footage of some like mechanical robot just destroying a car.
yeah,
I
it's got the
actually
weirdest
I
footage. It's cool. It's
I
really cool.
fucking tracked down the director of that and actually got a one-word response from him. I was just
Oh,
like, I'm like, aren't you the guy that did True Gore? He just writes, yes. Like apparently he doesn't want anything to do with it, which a lot of people don't anymore, but
yeah,
he's
dude.
like some accomplished musician now, which explains why the soundtrack was actually pretty good.
Yeah, because the soundtrack is awesome. I definitely
Yeah.
have to say that is the best soundtrack out of a Mondo film, 100%. But yeah,
So with that shit, are we gonna add like the kettle cadaver shit or any like
oh, I
GG
mean,
Allen
Kettle. I mean,
shit?
yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, Kettle Cadaver, fucking. I mean, kind of. I mean, it kind of goes into like,
Kettle cadaver goes pretty fucking gnarly, bro. Way gnarlier than GG Allen.
yeah, hundred
At
percent.
least with the self-inflicted violence. But then Gigi's way more Mondo with like, let's beat the shit out of this woman that's right in front of me.
Yeah. No, I mean, there. Yeah, I mean, those like films of sorts, like music films for sure. Like there's the A Taste for Blood that
Not the one I'm talking about.
came out,
Keep
and
going.
Among the Damned, which is cool. I even have the VHS to fucking Taste of Blood, which is super rare.
What's the fucking documentary then? Dead hands dig deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ow! I got it. Cool.
Yeah, and that you
Yeah.
can really get this in like Australia, like is the most common place to pick these up actually. So you can get them on eBay, but it's
Shockingly, even though it's like the worst
you have to,
censorship in
yeah,
any
you usually
fucking
have to
free
pay
state.
international shipping, and it's kind of expensive, but
Yeah, you could get it in
worth it. That's,
Australia.
but the fucking documentary is worth it. Well, however it
It's so
takes to get
good.
the documentary,
So
fucking
good.
watch it. It's so good. I love that documentary. It made
What
me.
What's
pissed
hel-
what
I'm not gonna lie, I fucking cried like a little boy. And
I did cry too. That shit was so depressing, dude. When he made wooden mannequins of his family because they left him, like that was horrifying, dude. I was
yeah,
so
it's so
sad.
horrifying. Yeah, the whole death of his brother. I'm not gonna spoil it, but like, fucking lord. Oh,
No, it's brutal, but it's fucking sad, dude. Like it's a fucking sad documentary, man. Like I
well,
consider that Mondo.
what's hilarious on the topic of music and all this shit, if you look on certain people's Mondo or shockumentary list, you'll see like the CKY films and even Jackass being listed
they
on
kind of.
some of
I
these
mean, I can
people's
see
lists.
it. I mean,
I
but the
could
thing
see
is,
it. I
it's
could
not.
see
I
it.
can see it to a
You're
degree,
setting it up
sure.
though. The thing is, you're setting it up. You're not documenting anything. You're just setting it up. And I feel like as soon as it's set up, it's
Uh,
necessarily
I
going
mean,
kind of
but to
it's
the
going a
point,
little off thing. And I even some bum fights is some of that is like no, I wouldn't necessarily consider. There's elements of it that are definitely
but
Mondo.
that's
There's
but
parts.
that's the thing is that Mondo is setting it up, bro.
Yeah.
And also like it was CKY and bum fights. Like there's parts where like they set it up, but the victims of those circumstances didn't fucking know what they were getting into,
Yeah.
bro. Like
So
they
that's
set
why
it up in a
that's what I was like.
fucked up way, dude.
It's borderline. It's up to interpretation.
That's true.
Dude, literally, what? Okay, it's not CKY, but rewatching Viva La Bam, like I loved that shit as a kid, and watching it now, I'm like, oh my god, I feel so sorry for all of Bam's family members. Like this is just fucked up, dude. Like,
Okay.
So we briefly talked about this, but the other one that I chose was one of my personal favorites, Goodbye Uncle Tom. And the reason I call that one of my personal favorites is because it is so well done for it is so well done for a retelling of the shit that went down in the antebellum South and the fact that they went to Haiti to film so much of that stuff. It is so well made, yet a beautiful film, yet you can't feel disgusted by what you're watching.
it is a super well done film. I love Goodbye Uncle Tom, even though it is not.
It's one of the most awful in terms of spirit, awful films
Yeah,
ever been made, but wow.
100% dude.
But it's one of those historical pieces, that it's what's that fucking one film, Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
What? You,
Like
I mean,
when you think about it, it's like, yeah, fuck that film,
it was one of the most
but
expensive and well done films back
but
then, but that's just pure white supremacist propaganda.
but you get what I'm saying, but it's a piece of history.
It is. It
It's
is.
like
Yeah.
even fucking there's a DJ that did the Rebirth of a Nation and did like a whole like redoing and did like a remix. It's actually kind of cool. So it's like still kind of like relevant in some aspects of like bringing it. But yeah, it's
4 years ago, they actually remade it from the right perspective, like an honest one called
Eh,
Birth of a Nation. Yeah, or not 4 years ago. That was
I think I heard
2018.
about that.
Yeah, it was like 2018, I think.
okay.
But it actually suffered because, yeah, it's got some
Still
negative
fucking
energy
bad.
to
Yeah.
it.
You can't just fix it by making a new film about it. I mean, everything you might
It
make
is a
interest-
great, the original is a great movie, technically.
Mm.
Like, in the technical aspect, really bad, but still.
Yeah.
I don't give a
These
fuck
DJs.
though. I don't care if the fucking concept is bad or something they do is bad or the fucking filmmaker's a piece of shit. If it's a good movie, it's a good fucking movie. Like I love Goodbye Uncle Tom. Not great morally. Blue Lagoon, not great morally, but it's a fucking classic. I love that movie.
To sum it up with the Goodbye Uncle Tom, it goes into such detail with going from being taken from Africa, being brought to the South, being treated like cattle, raised as slaves, but then you would also see like every aspect of it, such as like the slave master's wife being friendly and kind to the kids. Like it goes into every aspect of slavery that we are pretty much taught in school. Like it doesn't miss a beat of it.
That is one reason I'm glad that like at least some people appreciate that movie to where it's still getting releases to this day.
It's
Like
getting a
it
4K release now.
yeah, yeah. Who did that though? It was like
Blue Underground.
Blue Underground. Yeah, yeah.
They had their hand on like all that stuff.
It which is so I'm so happy for because like just because some of the shit is outdated, I hope that movie lives on. I actually really, really love Goodbye Uncle Tom.
Mhm.
Like yeah,
I
and
think out of all those Mondo films, the one that will live on, besides Mondo Kane, will be Goodbye Uncle Tom.
Mhm.
I hope so. I genuinely do.
So I'm gonna get into my pick. So going into so this kind of all feeds into a little bit into bum fights because XEG, which is Extreme Entertainment Group, they came out with a bunch of stuff that's similar into the bum fights world. There's like, street fights, Shameless, which is actually is kind of funny. If you ever have the chance to watch Shameless, it's actually kind of cheesy. Not the show, but it's just like seeing basically what people will do for money, and just exploiting it. And they did the notorious bum hunts. But the one that I wanted to get into, is they did another Mondo of more Mondo of sorts, is they did the Terrorizing set. So there's two of them. So there's two different volumes of the Terrorizing, which goes, very much into the same. It's very similar to the one I just talked about, into the, terrorist killers and Middle East wackos. It's going into that, but it's going later into like after 9/11 and going into the terrorists, fear and everything. And when everything was like, oh, just call them a terrorist to make them like they're all fear mongering, whatever, all that jazz.
Bush
But
did 9/11.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it has that similar Bud Dwyer footage. This is basically in every single Mondo thing. Um, it's almost like probably in every shockumentary, also mixtapes. It's been in so much shit. But
He was on the cover of CKY's first album.
Yep. And also there's two different angles to that suicide.
There
yeah,
is.
Yeah, because there's one where the suicide happens and the camera guy's like freaking out, and then there's one where the camera guy's just like, "Fuck it, let's zoom in." Fucking zoom in too is like
And
gushing
you watch
acid.
the
yeah.
blood
Who
pour
was the
out of
one
his
that did
nose for
that?
like 5 minutes.
Yeah, who
Dude,
was the one that
seriously.
did that? I
I
forget.
don't know the name of the guy. I
Yeah,
just
I
know
remember
there's
the
two different
one.
angles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should get to know the name of the guy.
And
I
then you
applaud
hear
him.
you hear one of the guys in the background like telling the guy who's filming him for 5 minutes straight, being like, "All right, guy, like this is not cool. Like, please stop what you're doing." And he doesn't answer. He's like, "Please get out. Please stop. Leave." Somebody made a toy of Dwyer's face blown apart.
Jesus
Really?
Christ.
Yeah, I forgot who made it. I have a
Like
picture of
push
it
it and like
somewhere.
blood comes out of his nose or something?
I'd
No,
buy
it's
it.
just a
I'd
picture of
buy it.
like his body with like his suit and tie, and his face is just blown off.
That actually, the Bud Dwyer suicide video is actually super important to me because it was the first time I've ever seen how death would really be in like blood spray. Like it's not a spray, it's literally just a pour.
Mhm.
Yep.
And like
A lot of
that,
people claim that
it,
as like a knowledge thing to learn from.
yeah, it totally changed my perspective on how to do special effects and everything, to be honest, of every horror movie. Yeah.
Right. When I first saw that for the first time, I was like 13 and I sat through Traces of Death for the first time. And being a 13-year-old kid, you're not exposed to violence and gore and death like that. And then it goes to Dwyer's suicide. And okay, I just sat through a bunch of people getting killed and whatever, but you're 13 years old and you see somebody take their own life. It hit me in a way that I still remember my reaction to this day. Like I could not move. I could not move, and my eyes were just glued to him with the blood pouring out of his nose.
Dude,
And
I've
that's
I've always thought since the first time I watched it, I was probably around the same age you were. Fucking, I always was like, why didn't anyone let him talk? Like, because he pulled the gun out and he's like, wait. He had a whole fucking speech planned. He had something to say, and he saw that people were coming to stop him, so he killed himself. Like,
Yeah,
I've
and he also
all
said, "Don't this will hurt someone." And
well,
when you look at that,
he said he was not trying to hurt anybody. Like
sounded
he
like you said, "This will hurt someone."
no, he pulled the gun out and he was like, I'm not gonna hurt anybody. Like he
Oh,
was
before that, okay.
yeah, he was trying to say that like he just wants to say what he's gonna say. He pulled the gun out to kill himself, not to hurt anyone. And everyone freaked out. He had a whole speech planned. You could see in his face that like there was something there that he just never got out, and it killed me inside. It's
Yeah.
killed me inside every time I watch the video since I was a kid. And
Well, when
that's
you
the only
go for it,
gore video. That's the only gore video I do rewatch constantly, and I tell people about it. And I don't know, it just doesn't bother me. It's like it's a powerful moment. It really is in American history. I mean,
well, when you rewatch it and you hear him say, "This will hurt someone," it's curious to think what he actually meant by it. Like, will me doing this
My
like hurt
hand
you
died.
watching, or could I possibly do something and hurt one of you by the gun?
that's the thing is the unknown questions, man. It's
Yeah.
like he had so much to say
I
and
think
it just
yeah, you
got
could
cut.
take
It
that
got
into
cut
two different
short.
interpretations. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got that
Like it hurt the viewer who's watching it, even too. He's like,
Yep. It's a powerful statement.
mhm.
we got that news girl that killed herself on air, but she said her whole spiel before she pulled the gun out.
Yep.
And it's like you could tell how Bud Dwyer was just completely unhinged and frustrated and
Did you watch that
broken
new footage of that guy that was on YouTube that basically like decapitated his
with
father?
the shotgun.
No,
Oh
no,
wait,
no,
never mind, never mind.
no. It was just like 4 days ago. Um,
Oh, I never heard of that.
No,
it's like so he goes in this rant for like 14 minutes about him being like, you know, a threat to the state because he's a federal worker and everything. So he decapitated his own father and then he put it on YouTube and it was up for hours. And he was like, "This is the head of my father. He was, you know, a terror to the state or whatever."
Jesus.
And going on to this whole thing, and it's basically like a bunch of QAnon bullshit, and like telling people to like do the same. If make it your New Year's resolution to if you have someone in the federal government that's in your family to kill them, and it's now to like rally, and it's a bunch of weird crazy shit.
Jesus.
So my final pick is the Jonestown death tape. Where to find it, I have no clue. Um, but I absolutely love true crime cases, and the Jonestown one is so interesting to me because it's like the opposite of like the original racist type Mondo films. Is that Jim Jones fucking accepted black people in his church. That's how he gained a cult, and it was like the Ted Bundy tapes on Netflix to me. Like there was a lot of footage that I've seen before, but there was a lot of like unseen footage that was really cool and a lot more graphic footage that a lot of the news like blurred out and censored and shit. Um and towards the end of the Jonestown case, it was definitely very brutal and the shit that like the mothers and the children and the shit they were saying to each other like even if it's hard for you to find the actual Mondo movie, like the audio of the movie is online pretty readily available on YouTube, and the shit that was being said during like if you didn't drink the Kool-Aid, those bitches got shot. Like fucking it was some gnarly shit. Um but yeah, I just love the history of it. Not narrative at all, more of a compilation. But I think it matters because I mean it is history. So I consider it more of a Mondo documentary-esque feel to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have to watch that.
Yeah, I definitely have to see that. I've always wanted to see some Jim Jones shit.
Oh, it was awesome. It was literally like the shit I've always seen because there's a lot of audio footage on YouTube, the like hours long of the whole like drink the Kool-Aid. If you don't, I'm gonna shoot you stuff. And it's literally just that. Like
Damn.
the real footage too, which is gnarly.
So my last pick, I had to show credit to someone who's pretty much solely taken over the genre, but not intentionally taken over the genre, and that's Renee Wisner with Mondo Siam.
Mhm.
And I saw an interview he did with, I think, Search My Trash, and he basically said, and he told me also that Mondo Siam, despite the title including Mondo, was not meant to be a Mondo film. He told me it was more like an art house film, and the difference between Mondo Siam compared to other Mondo films, there's no narration throughout the entire film. All you're seeing and hearing is the surroundings being caught on camera. And I told him, I said, this has got to be one of the most relaxed, peaceful Mondo film because when I watched it, I'm just sitting on the couch, relaxed, and I actually fell asleep watching it. Like the film put me to sleep. It was disgusting, but so calming. But definitely Renee has been keeping the genre alive, even though he doesn't intend to do it. He somehow is contributing to the genre.
Well, that's awesome because I've heard him being compared to Kiyotaka a lot, and it sounds like it's the same concepts.
Well, what's similar to him and Kiyotaka is both of them would travel to the parts of the world where they're filming and actually film what you're seeing in the film. They're not
Hmm.
taking footage from Best Gore or having other cameramen send
Yeah.
them the footage they did. They're going to these places and doing it themselves.
Well, yeah, they're getting the actual footage and creating something from editing rather than like having a narration or like a bias or like a perspective that they're trying to push. Like
Exactly.
it's all about the art of the act itself rather than some
Yeah.
bullshit fucking ploy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's been a couple that definitely have like no narrative. It was like 2001 Faces. That was another one that's like no narrative. And I think it's kind of interesting to see the ones they try to do no narrative versus narrative. I mean, I feel like sometimes there's no narrative. If you don't have enough pacing right, then it's just kind of boring. But narrative,
Well, every now and then you'll see a film that goes mainly for a soundtrack, and then every now and then you'll hear a narrator pop up and talk about the film just to spruce things up and make it a little more interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
That I
example-
never usually talk about this one, but like fucking even like the end of Kiyotaka's fucking career with like The Wasteland, like it was literally just a fucking video mute like
Yeah,
not a
more for the
music
music.
video, but like a video album
Yeah.
for The Corrupted. Like it was literally just one long devastating music video. Like it was not like his artistic thing. Like it felt like he had some
But that was the
semblance.
same with him doing like he did like a porn, as well.
Paranoid
I
Garden.
Paranoid Garden was the shit. I fucking love Paranoid Garden. Don't talk shit about that boy.
No, I'm
I'll
not.
kill you.
I'm just saying that he branched out. It's not the first time he's branched out and done something different outside of the.
Well, if you listen
Did
to
he
the
do that before Junk Films and Orozco? Paranoid
no,
Garden?
no, no. Junk Films was a collection of his earliest work before Orozco. And then he did Orozco. And then
Did the porn.
he did Paranoid Garden. And then he did a
Oh,
Wasteland. Yeah. He put out Junk Films after Orozco, but that was a collection of the shit he did before Orozco.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And now I think he's doing strictly photography.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what he got famous for. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
that's
wanted his book so bad. I never picked up any of his books.
dude, I fucking want his book so bad. There was a copy on eBay for like $150, and I was like really, really contemplating on buying it. I had like no money at the time, and I'm like, I would have to eat fucking like ice for 2 weeks. Like and I didn't buy it and it sold out.
Yeah, I know. They're around. They float around here and there, and I always want to pick them up. But
I still follow him on like Instagram and shit, and his photos that he posts are pretty cool. Like they're not even like gore ones. They're like this is like the ghetto of Brazil or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
And like
he just has a good eye.
oh, he has an amazing eye. Yeah. Because like okay, I know I'm rambling off, but like one of my favorite ones in junk films is the different the Japanese death of like one of his like childhood friends, and like it shows how they deal with like the cremated bones and shit. Like they don't cremate bones like we do in America. Like there's still chunks, like huge chunks, not like small chunks, like huge chunks of bones and shit. And the whole funeral thing, like it was very very calming in a weird way, but it was also super interesting to see a different culture's perspective on how like a memorial or a funeral would go. I don't know. He has the perfect balance between documentary and art house. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I think I heard Renee Wisner actually said he was influenced a lot by Kiyotaka when he did Mondo Siam, or at least like after making it, he felt like they were very similar in nature to how they created it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I think I heard that too, because I've never watched one of Renee's films, but I've listened to interviews because he did the one with Jonathan Doe, and I'm pretty sure I heard him say he was really influenced by Kiyotaka, which is the best influence you could be influenced by in Mondo films. So
Absolutely.
yeah, making movies nowadays in the Mondo genre, you have to be influenced by him, no one else. Like,
Well, basically, because if you look at most of the other Mondo films, they were government funded, whether it was Italy or another country.
well,
Like
government funded or
Kiyotaka,
like death compilations and shit. And
exactly.
well, and not something that the filmmaker had any perspective on or was able to film beautifully. Like it was just shit they fucking stole off the internet.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why like the later Mondo films is like, is it really Mondo? Is this just a fucking internet compilation, bro?
Yeah.
Like there's no intention here at all. And I mean, like at least Trace is a Death Head or narrator and a fucking like brutal ass soundtrack with the fucking brutal ass visuals.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go into my pick, and this is going kind of segue into that, but it's completely opposite way. Very well put together, but very, very offensive, and it's called That's Offensive. But
I thought this was gonna be an honorable mention. I'm glad you brought it up now though.
no, that's gonna be another one. But yeah, it's a lot of racist jokes, a lot of fat jokes, unfortunately. I mean, just all the whole things. It's very fucking offensive, obviously, but like it's I don't know. It's like, what's your take on it? I'm sorry, man.
It's America's Funniest Home Videos with a bunch of old footage. Like there's no like new footage in it, so there's footage of like the guy from Freaks climbing up a ladder, uh, a black kid popping his eyeballs out, and the title card is not politically correct, or the narration is not politically correct at
No, and
all.
they and or even the sound effects are not correct.
The
Everything
sound
like they
effects,
do
dude.
pig sounds to where it shouldn't be, and then moans where there shouldn't be.
Dude, and there's okay.
Like
Before we get into the offensive part, there's literally just a scene where they added sound effects where there's a full fucking tiger laying with like a 3-year-old in a crib that's totally real. And the tiger is like fucking smacking the 3-year-old's head and shit. And like the funniest thing is that like I love offensive shit, but it was most of it was fat jokes actually. Like
yeah.
there was a lot of racist jokes only with blacks for the most part. There was that great fucking Thanksgiving feast scene where the fucking white people storm the fucking picnic bench, but then it turns into a bunch of black kids eating watermelon as a competition.
Oh my God.
It was it really is like all the footage is in black and white. Like it's old ass footage, but
Oh
it
yeah,
is
very old footage. They
so
it's like how
funny.
can we make old footage and make it offensive? It's like it's
Not hard. But the narration goes absolutely out there. It's like
yeah.
the Jackass boys fucking went into the public domain archives and like we're
I say
gonna
good
have a
luck
great
finding
time.
it. I just happened to come across it of sorts on and I've only seen on VHS. I don't think it's ever gotten out of VHS, but you know.
Yeah, and I got to watch it today on fucking Facebook, like fucking video call. So, but it was amazing. Like I really had an amazing time with it. It was super fun. But it was more of a parody of Mondo movies than like a fucking actual Mondo movie because
Yeah.
there's no way that narration can be taken seriously. Yeah, it's super funny though, and I don't. I think you'll be able to find that easier than the Jonestown death tape, to be honest, because I've been trying to find that shit for fucking years, and this came across it. Oh, this idiot came across it. Um,
I probably know a guy that could probably burn a copy of it, and that's offensive as well. I'll have to hit him up after the show is over.
oh, I could burn a copy that's offensive if he sends it to me. Yeah. It's not a problem. It's a $10 fucking video
I
capture
know, I
card
can
for
get it. It's
fucking
not that.
VHSs.
I'm more meaning
It's
if anyone
lazy.
else. I'm more meaning publicly if anyone's trying to find it. So then I guess we've all done our picks, but I kind of thought it was interesting to mention some honorable mentions of sorts, but also ones that kind of have similar names. I always thought it was interesting because it seems that Mondo, maybe for cash grab reasons and just kind of changing the name or other reasons, but they start going by different things. So like there's the many taboos of death, but then there's also it's the many faces of death. So that it's like, so it's basically whichever version you have. And then you have Final Journeys, but then there's the one that's like the further, there's more volumes of Death.
Death the Final Journey.
And then there's like 6 volumes of these, but these are the same fucking thing. So it's kind of like
Well, it's just like the Italians with like having real names, and then they go like, nope, this is Jaws 5 or
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw 4 or whatever the fuck. It was
Yeah.
Night Killer was Texas Chainsaw 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about ripping shit off. I'm glad they kept that though. Because I mean the Italians are really what started Mondo in the first place. So might as well keep the fucking rip off spirit, baby.
Right. And then as a dishonorable mention, and I'm sure this will be talked about in a negative fashion.
Oh, I'm ready.
Steven is literally
He's getting
dying.
ready. He's getting ready.
Dying.
This is the best thing you'll ever see. And no, it's kidding. No,
It's probably worth like what,
I
99 cents?
I got it just because I got it. It's actually pricey because of how bad it is. It goes up because of like people actually because of how bad this fucking shit is. What
I
they
remember
use for editing is just funny alone. It's just
I remember I bought that
it
shit
is
years
so
ago
bad.
for like $1, and it was like, this is the last one we
Oh,
have. And I'm
now
like,
they go fucking
yeah,
hell.
I bought it. I got it. I'm like, this is a piece of shit. I look on Amazon and they're like, oh, we have one more copy left for sale, $2.
Yeah. No, they're
But
way more than $2 now. They're
I
fucking pricey. It's
it's
fucking
gotta
So
be the cheapest shock film I have ever seen with
so
the dancing pumpkins.
for the
And oh,
dumb person in the room and everyone else in the audience who doesn't know, can you fuckers explain it? Because I have no clue what your guys are so pissed about.
so
I'll have to do a video thing about this way.
so I did a review of it years ago, but it's a shock film and it's got brutal footage. Yes, I don't discredit that the footage is, gory, but they have these stupid cartoon dancing pumpkins in the beginning, which looks like they were done in Microsoft Paint in 2 seconds. The narration is the worst narration I have ever heard, being that you could barely understand what these people are saying. Imagine somebody in a documentary who has their voice uh distorted so they don't want to be identified. It is worse than that. Like they could say, okay, this person was a victim of uh shooting, whatever. Shows up. It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I hate that one.
now I want to see it just for the fucking meme of it.
It's basically for that. If you want to watch something at a party just to piss people off, it's kind of like, no, it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad.
You hit play and you have these pumpkins flying at the screen. It's just like, whoa. It's like when you hit play to Wayne's World on Super Nintendo. It's
Fuck
the same
yeah, dude.
exact thing. Like
Wait.
imagine Wayne in Garth's head, but with pumpkins.
Wayne's World party time, excellent. Woo, woo.
Yeah, that's basically all my picks.
Honorable mention. Let's go, Chain Girls, baby. Chain Girls. There's absolutely no documentary in this documentary, but fuck me. Dude, I love the reefer madness style of these lesbos are going crazy, bro. Like,
Have you
fucking,
seen it, Steven?
I have not.
Oh God,
oh,
watch it.
I got
dude.
some work to do.
It's one of the best. Like it's literally it's like the reefer madness of like you lick pussy, you're gonna fucking murder your whole family. Like, like,
They go into like the different type of dyke and like too and like lame like there's the full dyke, there's the this dyke, there's the fem dyke, there's like and they just break everything down. It's
yeah,
so bad.
like the legitimacy of it is
But it's all in
like
that 50
2%.
like it's
Like
like oh
2%. Like the party's talking about is like the 2% of
uh,
legitimacy
and
that
he's like
movie has.
and if
Like,
you're the butch, you're bound to get very, very jealous because they're prone to it. And then it means that you get any woman that comes across, you're gonna beat the shit out of them.
Does he actually talk like that?
Yeah.
Oh
dude,
my God. I gotta
legit.
see that
I'm actually pretty sure you could find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll watch that on my flight in 2 weeks.
Dude,
I have
it's
4 hours
so
signal.
good.
It's good.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite exploitation, like fear mongering movies out there. It's so good. Thank you, everybody, for listening and joining in for this crazy podcast. It might be a little long winded, but we had a lot of fun with Stephen Bloodworth here, and we had a lot of fun talking about the history and some of our favorite Mondo movies. So I hope you enjoy. Check the links down below. Stephen will be down there, and so will all of our bullshit like social media, Patreon, all that shit you should be paying us money for. But thank you for listening, and I hope you had a great time like we did. And stay tuned for the next episode of Quality Violent Cinema.
Hell yeah.